With Farmers, you could get savings just for becoming a customer. It's a little extra something. So to tell you about it, we're adding a little extra something to this ad. Precious baby giggles. When you switch to Farmers, you could save an average of $437 on your home insurance. And that's a whole lot of something, baby. Aw, get a quote at farmers.com.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Based on average nationwide annual savings survey data July 2020 to 21. Underwritten by Farmers Trucker Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliate. Products not available in every state.
Man, there are a lot of podcasts out there.
Definitely. I mean, there's 3 million shows, 50 million episodes, and more every day.
I mean, who has the time to figure out which ones are the best podcasts?
We do. That's who. What's up, guys? I am Alicia Renee.
And I'm Dax Holt.
And we are your hosts of Pod Sauce, a podcast discovery show.
Look at us as your podcast concierge.
We do all the work for you. We listen to the shows, review them,
pick the best episodes, and interview the hosts.
Pod Sauce. Let us help you find your next binge. Tell them where to go, Dax.
Go to podsauce.com.
Welcome back to News Talk 830 WCCO. Blois Olson in for Paul and Jordana. One, both. Be back tomorrow. And I'm just here today, second Monday in a row. Sorry you have to start out your week this way, but you know the fact of the matter is that I got the call at about 7:30 this morning, right before I saw this beautiful sunrise at 7:57. And if some people would have had their way, that sunrise would have been at 8:57. It would have been later. So joining me now, Representative Mike Friedberg, state representative. He's worked on this at the legislature. Representative, thanks for joining me.
My pleasure. Glad to be here, Blois.
So what's the current status of the way in which Minnesota recognizes daylight savings time or daylight standard time?
Well, we do what about 47 other states do. We change our clocks twice a year. In the spring, we move forward into daylight saving time, and in the fall, as we just did, we move back into standard time. So we have, however, passed a bill that I'm the chief author of, which, based on your introductory comments, I'm guessing you may not be crazy about, but it would move us into daylight saving time permanently. However, for that to happen, we have to get congressional authorization. So right now, states can move to standard time permanently, and Arizona and Hawaii have done so. But we don't have authorization under federal law to go to daylight saving time permanently. I have heard from a lot of people who actually prefer that later sunset in the evenings and would like to go to daylight saving time permanently. There are actually 18 other states that have passed bills along these lines. So it's definitely the trend. The trend is definitely permanent daylight saving time rather than permanent standard time.
I would say that I'm just not a fan of this ongoing whining whenever we do change our clocks for people on both sides. So I don't have a strong feeling about the legislation, and I, too, like later sunsets during the summer. It allows you to get a few more holes in before the end of the day. So please, don't. I just, as you debated this, as you authored this bill, as you talked to people, where does this rank in issues that people kind of bring up with you, or once you start talking about it, they have an opinion on it?
It is something a lot of people have an opinion on. I mean, is it the most important issue compared to funding our schools, funding our roads, and so forth? No, probably not. But I do think the legislature is able to tackle more than one issue at one time. And also, this is an issue that brings together an unusual coalition of legislators, and it's totally bipartisan, almost nonpartisan. I worked with State Senator Mary Kiffmeyer, who generally, I consider myself a pretty liberal Democrat. I would probably not agree with her on very much, but she was the Senate author, and we were able to get this passed into law. I've heard it is an issue I hear from a lot of people on. They do have opinions on it. I would say those opinions tend to peak twice a year, and you can probably guess what time they peak during, where I hear from people on it. I do think a lot of people find the clock changes very disruptive, and I fall into that category myself. I mean, it was when my kids were very little that I was trying to sleep train them, and then we'd have to change the clocks, and it would throw everything off. They'd get up at an ungodly hour, and so personally, I don't particularly care which time whether we go to standard time permanently or daylight saving time permanently. I just want to pick one and stick with it and not change our clocks. So, after looking into it, getting some feedback from people, seeing what other states are doing, I decided to go with the permanent daylight saving time approach.
I think it's a valid approach, and I would say I think maybe my kids didn't experience what your kids did, and I don't know your sleep patterns, but I already get up at ungodly time in the morning, so I probably wasn't as impacted when I had small children. So we need the feds to kind of endorse our approach to this. Is there an effort to try to get Congress to recognize that? Are we lumped, or are we coalescing with 18 other states? What would be the next steps in asking Congress for this?
Sure. Well, yeah, obviously I wouldn't, as a general rule, I wouldn't count on Congress passing anything in a expeditious manner. But this is an issue. It kind of played out this way in Minnesota. We're one of the only states with a divided legislature, and we were able to get this passed. It has bipartisan support in both the U.S. House and the U.S. Senate. Just in the last week, I've seen several U.S. senators of both parties tweeting that we need more evening sunlight. We need to stop changing clocks. So it wouldn't surprise me if this is something that just kind of very abruptly gets passed by Congress. The way they operate, they might stick it into some much larger bill, but it is something that it seems like there's kind of a broad coalition of bipartisan support for. So I think it's entirely possible that Congress could pass this within the next year, certainly.
And then would Minnesota automatically then go to daylight savings time as their norm based on your legislation?
Yeah, it wouldn't just happen when the bill passes. The way the law was written, once we switch to daylight saving time in the spring, we would just stay on it permanently.
Okay.
So if we're on it, we'd just stay on it. If we're on standard time, we'd wait until we switch and then stay on it permanently.
How did this issue come to you? I think it's always interesting. Legislation can be complicated, and so people don't always kind of follow how it comes up. But did somebody say it to you? Did you get elected and say, hey, this is something I want to change? Because the bipartisanship of it is remarkable. And the idea that it is, it's a populist issue. There's a popular feeling about this, and that doesn't always happen. So did it come to you, or did you just hear about it in other states and say, maybe we should do that in Minnesota?
Yeah, I think initially I had signed on to a bill to go to standard time permanently that another legislator had authored, and I got some feedback on that saying, this will get rid of the evening sunlight in the summer, and you can blame, these legislators for it. And just after looking into it a bit more and hearing about the momentum towards permanent daylight saving time in other states, I thought that would be a good approach. So I decided to introduce that legislation myself a couple of years ago. I've heard from a few constituents and other people in Minnesota on it. It's not a huge number of people in my district. It is just kind of something as a parent that I got interested in and wanted to try to address as a legislator, and was lucky enough to be able to do it. And, when I first introduced the permanent daylight saving time bill a couple of years ago, nobody else had done it. And then at some point I got word that Senator Kiffmeyer was interested in it too. So I offered her the Senate version of it, and she took it up, and we were able to get it passed.
Sounds great. Representative Mike Freeberg, thanks for joining me on News Talk 830 WCCO. We'll keep watching, and hopefully it gets changed so we can stop whining.
Yeah, I would be all for that. Thank you very much, boys.
See you, Mike.
Take care.
Thanks to Representative Freeberg for joining us. So big change can happen, but now we have to wait on Congress. And we know how Congress works. But if there's bipartisan unity in Congress, then who knows? Send us your text. Let me know what you think. 651-461-9226. Is the representative on the right path? Do we want Congress to change this? Or should people just get over what they've done for decades and decades and spring forward and fall back and be okay?
It sounded like he changed your mind a little bit there.
No.
I think you're on his side. I think you're swinging.
Here's the deal. I am not against more daylight.
Well, you don't get more daylight with any of these plans. You realize that.
David, it's either dark at 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock. That's more daylight in the day.
No, that's not how that works. Can I show you the math?
Well, but I'm up early anyways. So it doesn't matter to me. And again, there are so many big issues. Like, for instance, look how long it took to pass Sunday sales in this state. Look at how long it took to, decide whether or not we had a state muffin or not. Do you know what the state muffin is?
Yeah, blueberry.
Oh, yeah. See, you're one of us.
Of course.
Yeah. I mean, there are big issues, and this is one that the legislature's already done some heavy lifting on. Now we just have Congress to count on, and everybody knows you can count on Congress. 651-461-9226.
It sounds like we're going to be having this debate for a lot of decades to come.
Well,
That's what
I don't
it really
know.
sounds like.
I don't know. I mean, I just look forward to, using it for a good topic today. And then hopefully I sit in the spring and we can make it a radio topic again. See, I think you've
No.
Yeah.
Let's be done with this.
No.
If it changes, though, aren't we just going to have isn't somebody going to author a bill back to daylight savings time?
Well, no. See, that was the difference. We're going to switch to daylight savings time, and then we're not going to go back to standard time.
Yeah, but
so
it's
bringing
then
more
be another
light
bill.
to your life.
We should go back to standard time.
Well, yeah, of course there is. It's America. We'll have legislation for everything.
How do we just stop arguing about it?
I agree. I don't like to argue. I don't know if you know that about me. I don't really argue a lot.
So let's just go back to standard time and forget about it.
We're on standard time today, and we had a great sunrise. And in the spring, I want to play more golf in the evening.
It sounds like you just want to create the schedule around your golf game.
Well, hello.
Oh, I see.
Have you met me?
Okay. I got you.
All right.
Hello, I'm Jason Concepcion, former co-host of Binge Mode Ravenclaw with Gryffindor Rising, still repping the Night's Watch despite Season 8, and the host of Crooked Media's new podcast, X-Ray Vision. Every week, my guests and I will take you through the world of comic book movies, fantasy shows, and more. Join us as we deep dive into your favorite franchises, discuss fan theories, and the latest news. Listen now for free on Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Farmers Policy Perks are that little extra something you can get when you're a Farmers customer. So to tell you about them, we're adding a little extra something to this ad. A backup singer.
Ooh, singer.
When you have the Farmers Signal app with Crash Assist.
Crash Assist.
If you have an auto accident.
We can send help if you want it.
Wow, that sounds like a whole lot of something. Get a quote at farmers.com.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Not available in every state. Only available with select Farmers branded policies subject to terms and conditions underwritten by Farmers Truck or Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliate.
Up to 30% of U.S. military members and veterans are battling PTSD, even those who weren't injured or in combat. If you're one of the many, you should know that you don't have to suffer. Treatment for PTSD is available. If you suffer from PTSD-related depression and anxiety, you're not alone. There are so many veterans and current enlisted just like you. You don't have to suffer. Find the help and resources you need and deserve at connectingvets.com.